Good morning, everyone. There was a horrific incident that occurred in New York City this Monday morning. A rabbi from Jerusalem was at a kosher cafe on 38th Street, and he walked out of the cafe and started walking down the block harmlessly. And this individual came up to him, quite a large fellow, and started harassing him, saying, "What religion are you?" And he saw his kippah, and then he slapped his kippah off his head. The rabbi went to pick up his kippah, and then the next thing that this fellow did was punched him in the face so hard that the rabbi went flying into the bike lane and lied there on the floor until people came to his aid, and he had to be rushed to the hospital. He had bleeding on the brain, a broken nose. But what shocked me most of all was not what this person did to the rabbi. You see, in this week's Torah portion, we have the story of Abraham. After he parts ways with his nephew Lot, because they had a quarrel about land, and Abraham says, "We're family, I don't want to be in a disagreement with you. You go your direction, I'll go mine, but let's not have any internal strife as family members." Then the verse says, "Vayavo hapalit," Og, an individual by the name of Og, came to inform Abraham that his nephew, Lot, was taken captive, taken hostage. And what does Abraham do? The verse says, Abraham hears that his brother was taken captive. He takes his students, 369 men, and he goes to war to redeem, to rescue his nephew Lot. And a rabbi say, why did Og come to tell Abraham that his nephew was abducted? Did he really care about Lot? And the rabbis say no, he had an ulterior motive. He figured Abraham's going to go fight to rescue his nephew. And of course, he's going to get killed because he's not a fighter. He's just a righteous man. And then I'll be able to marry Abraham's wife, Sarah, who was so beautiful. And when the verse says that Abraham came, Lot came and told him, Og went and told him that his nephew was taken hostage. It says, "Vayavo hapalit vayaged la'Avraham ha'ivri." He said to Abraham the Hebrew. This is the first time the Torah uses the title Abraham the Hebrew. We're called Hebrews because of this word. And the rabbi say, what does it mean, the Hebrew? Why is he called the Hebrew? And the rabbi said that in Hebrew, the word Ivri is Aver, which means the other side. Ivri means Aver. And the rabbis say that the whole world was on one side, idolatry, paganism. Abraham was willing to stand alone in his faith in one God, all by himself, opposed to the whole world. And so the rabbis say, why here do we use the term Ivri? Because why did Og even think Abraham would care? He had already parted ways with his brothers. They had a disagreement with his nephew Lot. But Og knew that Abraham was a man who stood alone and opposed to everyone else in his values. And therefore, he knew that Abraham would not be a bystander. When his nephew was taken hostage, despite prior disagreements, he would risk his life to save his nephew. And therefore, he knew he would go to fight for him and hope that he would get killed and he could marry Abraham's wife. And indeed, the verse says, Abraham heard that his brother was taken captive. It wasn't his brother, it was his nephew, and it was his errant nephew who was stealing land, and he had to separate ways from him. But when it came down to him, Abraham said, no, he's my brother, and one Jew will go fight for another Jew no matter what. And therefore he risked his life. And that's why at this juncture the Torah uses the word Ivri to say a Jew is different than everyone else. When they know a fellow Jew is in danger, they stand up and they fight for that Jew. What was most shocking about the video in New York was not this anti-Semitic incident, which, by the way, this is even before Mamdani is elected mayor. This kind of rampant anti-Semitism and hatred and violence against Jews. It's frightening to think, if God forbid Mamdani is elected, what could happen to Jews in New York City. But if you watch the video, you see people walking down the street and they see this man harassing and attacking this Jew and slapping his kippah off his head and then punching him. And in the video you could see people just keep on walking, they keep on going, until you know what happens? You see a religious Jew with a yarmulke come running to help this rabbi lying on the floor. And that's the pride of the Jewish nation. We always stand up for one another. Just came back from Israel, and the one thing you saw is that despite all the disagreements in Israel, despite all the fractions, the unity of the Jewish people is that when a Jew is in danger, every Jew stands up and protects one another. And that's what happened on October 7th. So many people died because so many people ran to rescue fellow Jews. The lesson we have to learn is not to wait, God forbid, till, God forbid, a Jew is in danger, but to remember we're brothers all the time. We're always one. And in good times, we should stand together with unity and love. Have a wonderful day.